So question 14, oh yeah. So question 14 is like an interesting problem. So we have this in this addition problem, each letter stands for a different digit. So we have 2 plus 2 equals 4. And if t equals 7 and the letter O represents an even number, we want to know what is the only possible value for W. So this is like a very classic kind of problem where it's like they give you some like weird like thing, like 2 plus 2 equals 4. Like they give you these weird addition things, and they tell you like each letter is like a different number or something, and they want you to find the different numbers and things like that. This is a very common kind of like logic question kind of. So we have 2 plus TWO, that gives FOUR. And we know t is 7, right? They told us that t equals 7 in the problem. So like we can just replace the t's with 7s. And the question also said O represents an even number, right? So O represents an even number. So notice that like when you do 7 plus 7, we know 7 plus 7 is equal to 14, right? Like from this column. But like there's also a chance we might have to carry, right? Maybe like W, if W is like 9 or something, right? We have like 9 plus 9, that would give us 8, and then we carry the 1. So the other possibility would be 1 plus 7 plus 7, that gives 15. But the reason like there's only one possibility, it turns out that we have to have O is equal to 4. We have to have 7 plus 7 equals 14 and O equals 4, because like the question told us O represents an even number. Like in the second case here, O would be 5, and 5 is not an even number. So it turns out like we have to have O equals 4. And if O equals 4, so I can just replace this with a 4, then we can find F is 1, right? Because we carry the 1. 7 plus 7 is 14. And if O is 4, I can replace these O's with 4s instead. And then now if we were to like do the addition on the right hand column, 4 plus 4, we can get that R is equal to 8. So we get R equals 8. And then the question told us that like each letter stands for a different digit, and we want to know what is the only possible value for W. So we have like we know we have 10 one-digit numbers, right? So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So clearly like W plus W, like in this column, we're not allowed to do any carrying, because like if W plus W is greater than 10, like if W is like 9, for example, then we did 9 plus 9, we get 18, we're gonna have to carry a 1. But like in this column, we already assumed that there would be no carrying involved. So that tells us that W like has to be less than 5, because if W was greater than or equal to 5, then we would have to carry, and then instead of 4, this would be a 5. So like that would be illegal, which means that we can ignore all of these values of W, like those can't work. So clearly we notice W, if W equals 0, like that doesn't work, because like if you let W equal 0, then U is also going to equal 0. But we have to have like each letter stands for a different digit. So that tells us W cannot equal 0. Now, if we let W equal 1, we can't let W equal 1 because we already let F equal 1, right? We already had like F equals 1 in this place over here. So we can't repeat the number 1. So W equals 1 also doesn't work. So now we try W equals 2. If you do W equals 2, then you find U is equal to 2 plus 2, which is 4. But if U equals 4, like we see that like O is already equal to 4. Like we can't like have two variables represent the same number. So that tells us that's also not allowed. So W can't equal 2 either. So now W has to equal either 3 or 4. So if you try W equals 3, then you get U is equal to W plus W, which is 6, right? So then in this case, if W is 3 and U is equal to 6, then like we find that every variable represents a different number, and this like satisfies all the conditions, so that works out. But just like and if you're running low on time, you would just put down W equals 3 and move on. But like just to like finish the actual problem, if W equals 4, which is the last case, then you get U is equal to 8, right? But then if U equals 8, we already found like R is equal to 8. Like we already have R is equal to 8, so we can't have U also equal to 8. So that tells us W equals 4 is also not valid. So that tells us that we only have one possibility, which is W equals 3. And if you go back to your answer choices, that would be like choice D, and that would be the answer. Okay, so like just to summarize, this is a very classic kind of question where they give you like some weird like words, and they tell you, you know, TWO plus TWO equals FOWR or FOUR. And this is like a very common type of question. And the general strategy is like you want to start with what information you're given. Like in this case, we started with the information. They told us T equals 7. So we started with that information, and then like we kind of like worked our ways like forward that way.